So I'm going to break down the systems that we use to scale offers past 6 figures a month as a marketing and sales agency as well as consulting business. So most of our time is spent on the marketing end. However, we have done sales management. We do sales management. We also help with just consulting on those teams and making sure that the right systems are in place on the sales side. Now, the first thing when it comes to building any type of system or SOP is understanding that with every client or every business, there is going to be a different roadmap. And so where we like to start typically is with a scaling roadmap. With every client we work with, and if you're a business that is just looking to do this yourself, map it out, right? A very basic example of this is, let's say we're running an outbound sales team or a setting team. How many calls, how many dials, gets me how many pickups, gets me how many good conversations, gets me how many sets, gets me how many booked calls or sets, gets me how many shows, gets me how many closes, etc. Mapping this out. On the ad side, what amount of ad spend at what CPM gets me how many impressions, at what click-through rate gets me how many page views, at what opt-in rate gets me how many scheduled or submitted applications, what submitted application rate gets me what submitted or what booked call rate, and then you go into the sales side, right? And so the first thing is modeling this out. A great example I like to use, again, before I get into the nitty-gritty here, is let's look at two businesses. One sells a $27 digital product. The other sells a $25,000 mastermind. Which of these two businesses is going to scale to $100,000 faster, $100,000 a month faster? It's going to be the $25K mastermind. Because I don't even know how many of these $25 products I need to sell just to scrape $10,000 a month, let alone 100,000, right? The sheer volume of people you need to convert is so much higher. Whereas if I sell a $25K product, I need to sell 4, I've already hit a 6-figure month, right? Same amount of effort, different pricing allows you to scale at a much different rate. This also, again, going back to how we scale, this also comes into account when you're doing your math. And so what is often scary for new businesses we work with, especially when it's cold traffic exclusively, is if you sell a $25K thing, you may spend 10 grand without getting any ROI. And then you close one $25K deal and you're at a 2.5x ROAS. Now that's very, very low. I don't like that. But again, just to hold the bare minimum scaling threshold, you may spend 10K with no ROI or 8K with no ROI. And so it's understanding the math that allows you to make decisions regardless of what you're currently seeing inside of the business. The other thing is when you're looking at this math going down funnel. So if I'm not closing deals, but my show rate's dog shit, well then let's focus on that first because we don't even have enough closing call data to make that decision. If we fix show rate and now close rate's not there, but our ROAS is there, well then we're good, right? And so we're basically looking downstream at the funnel. What is CPM? Can I get my click-through rate up 2%? If I can run at a 3% click-through rate and I've been running at like a 0.5, well my shots on goal, the amount of offers I can make exponentially grows. And so to summarize this first part is really map out and plan how you scale. So we have an entire scaling roadmap here in terms of how we jumpstart the client scaling process, build the backend infrastructure, launch paid ads, and then scale and optimize, right? The entire thing is mapped out. Literally from the time a client onboards to the time that we're optimizing the funnel, the entire thing is mapped out. And so this just is one example of like having a system in place to scale from. Now, once this starts, the next thing you'll notice is a client portal. And so again, once we begin to prep to scale and we start them on that onboarding process, we also need to give the client the information that they need to begin their onboarding process and understanding of the business model as a whole. Now, this is a little outdated. We do run a slightly different one for clients now. I just have to update the internal fulfillment sheet. But again, you get the entire onboarding process, which takes about 2 hours to fill out. You have access to a Google Drive that's organized based on your client documents. You have links to your funnels and websites, links to your Facebook ads, your YouTube ads, ad tracking performance. We have updated this. You get to monitor our tasks within the agency. What are we doing? What do we need you to do? and then break down to the offer performance and tracking. Again, this one's a little tweaked, but just goes to show like there is a ton of prep work done on the system side to make this as streamlined as possible as we go to scale into offers. Now, the next thing is, again, having a system for every aspect of this business. Does this mean that we use these for every single thing? Absolutely not. I'm not going to launch paid ads if we can optimize your organic. We need to pull cash forward. I'm not going to necessarily run a call funnel if I'm not confident in the sales team's ability on cold traffic. If I need to pull a bunch of cash forward, I'm going to run a webinar on cold traffic. It allows me to fuck up and pull a lot of money forward because that funnel allows for a lot of book calls at one time. So I can get data faster, right? Am I going to set up a whole email funnel if my email list is only 3K? No, not necessarily. It's not the priority in the business. Again, one thing I also think is important to note when going through this is when you start a business, and I had a conversation with a buddy about this today, but any business, coaching, info, service, like my background's in the detailing and home service space, the number one goal is to pull as much cash forward as possible. Branding, yeah, it's cool, but you can do a rebrand if you're under $3 million a year. You don't control that much of the market, right? It's pretty easy to redirect cash flow to ad spend to create brand awareness or to restructure your brand or put that money into marketing or content or clipping. Like, I see so many people build their website, do their logo, do all this fancy shit when the goal is just to pull as much cash forward as possible. It's why we typically, when we're running cold traffic offers or in general, we'll start with a webinar because it allows us to pull a ton of cash forward very, very fast and then immediately flip most of that budget into ad spend. Because the second we crack ads, the whole offer takes off, right? We're doing one of the offers we're running, we're doing a little over 100K a month, off between 15 and 25K in ad spend. Webinar is the conversion mechanism, right? And so again, it's pulling that cash forward. So what you'll notice as I go through this is not everything, I'm not going to touch on everything, but also not everything is going to be used in every single situation. So again, first thing's figuring out the traffic. Are we running organic to start? Are we optimizing that process? Or are we optimizing the paid ads? YouTube, Facebook, TikTok ads I have here. We haven't really dabbled in TikTok ads yet. But again, where are we starting with paid? Where are we starting with organic? Swipe follow content to reference. YouTube content, Instagram content. That's where I recommend everybody spend their time to start. Once we've determined traffic, then we're looking at funnels. Are we going to do a low ticket funnel? Are we going to do a high ticket funnel? Are we going to do an email? Are we going to implement email funnels into this thing? And so an example of a SOP I really wanted to show you guys is our call funnel SOP. So again, when we go to launch a funnel, the goal is to make this as dummy proof as possible and also control the variables as much as possible. So if we go to launch a call funnel, every call funnel starts at the same mechanical baseline, messaging baseline. And so we know if something breaks or if something doesn't work, we know exactly what levers we can pull and where those levers exist. Whereas if I were to say, yeah, let's spin up a call funnel, and every time I'm doing it off the top of my head, I may make minute changes to the funnel itself, and I don't necessarily know, I can't control the variables. I can't test it like a scientist would. And so this literally, it's the flow. So again, steal this if you want, screenshot it, use it. These crush typically will run at like a 2.5 to a 4x ROAS on average. Again, net profit baseline, but check that out. Breaks down the tech stack, what we need from a tech perspective, what we need the client to film and edit, literal breakdowns of the page structure itself. This is how we structure every call funnel initial page, how we script the VSLs, the qualified thank you page structure, the unqualified thank you page structure, like the show rate content videos, every single thing in this SOP is outlined so that the second we take a client on, it's laid out. This is the same for webinars. This is the same for school communities. We do run some school communities depending on your offer. If it's cold traffic, I actually really like the school community model. Same thing goes for email. How do we set up email? What are pre-call flows, post-call no purchase flows, broadcast flows, email list reactivation flows? So do we come on and you have a list of 14K that you haven't emailed in 3 months, right? How do we approach that? So it's not off the top. How do we collect testimonials, right? This one's super overlooked, but what is the meta to hosting a client interview, to asking someone to send a selfie video, breaking it all down? How can we slip this into a podcast to make this easier for you? So you now have a long form piece of content. You have a testimonial. We can spin that off into ads, right? What is the meta? Short form sales assets, long form sales assets. How do we develop the setting, the triaging, the closing, and the CRM and pipeline management on the sales side? Tracking. How does sales and marketing click together? How do we track ad performance? How do we track organic performance? How do we track funnel performance? How do we track sales performance? Right? We're tracking literally everything, even down to the role. If we're coming into your business, we're training your team, that's one thing. If we're bringing our own people into the business, that's another. How do we outline the admin roles, VAs, CSMs, things like that? How do we outline marketing roles, copywriters, media buyers? Again, and then sales side, setters, closers, sales managers, right? Outlining every single step in the process is so important because it allows you to control variables right away. If you don't already have systems like this inside of your business, I'm not saying it won't work, but it's going to be very, very hard to replicate. And again, I could go through everything, but not just for client fulfillment, but we have SOPs for fulfillment, for acquiring new clients. How do we perform outreach, outbound? How do we run ads for clients? Everything in that nature. Long form content, short form content. How do we create that for our clients? Recruiting, hiring, and team SOPs. How do we hire on sales managers, sales reps, VAs, copywriters, media buyers, all that. And then internal finance SOPs. Right? We're breaking this business, our business down, but also your business down into very, very digestible pieces so that scaling becomes a repeatable process. And even if we go out and we launch ads and we're break even month 1 and we're at a 2x on month 2 and we're on a 4x on month 3, month 1 and 2, we know exactly what to do because there's a system in place. Right? I had a conversation with a sales rep the other day from a outside sales agency, and he was picking apart our systems, which is what I ask. If you have a better sales team than I do, you understand sales better than I do, pick the business apart. I don't give a fuck. I want to make money. I don't want to be right. I don't care. But he asked me about the ad side. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'm like, well, this is what we use on every single offer. It's proven to work. It may flop in the beginning, but based on how it flops, we can systematically tweak. And so that's the thing is if someone ever gives us feedback on, hey, have you tried this? It's like, actually we have, but it doesn't typically occur till step 3. So if step 1 flops, cool, we test this. If step 2 flops, cool, we test this. And it's outlining decision trees as well. So hopefully hopefully this gives you guys some insight as to how we approach just, again, onboarding a new client, scaling a new client. If you're an info product business and you want these systems, just let me know in the comments below. But this breaks down literally everything. And also note, if you're watching this video 2-3 months from the release of it, there could be things that have changed. Like I said, I want to make money, not be right. I'd be the biggest fool in the room if it means we're scaling these offers consistently past 6 figures a month. So hopefully that helps give you guys some clarity into at least how we approach building systems and implementing systems into our business, so that if you're looking to do it in your own business or you're looking to work with an agency that actually has their shit together, example A. So like I say in every video, if you're looking to work with an agency that knows what they're doing to help you scale your business past 6 figures a month, click the link below. You can book a call with myself or a member of my team. And then if you just want more content like this, I'm going to be putting out more of these Loom videos, just sharing different aspects in the business. I might do an in-depth breakdown of the call funnel SOP that we follow, and other things of that nature. But like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be posting stuff like this every single week. I'm going to be doubling down, and we are making a push to scale our own agency aggressively. And so it'll be exciting to bring you guys along for the journey. So Hopefully you got some value from this. Let me know in the comments below what you learned, any questions you have, comments. Let it fucking fly, and I will see you in the next one.